You're watching ABC4 News, celebrating 75 years.
Thanks for staying with us. Raising kids who care about others, finding ways to teach those characteristics to children can be challenging, but there are experts who can help us along the journey. Abby Crouse, the clinical director for the Family Support Centers of Utah, joining us here today via Zoom to talk about cultivating empathy in our children. Abby, thank you for joining us here today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start off right at the beginning. Just what is empathy? How would you define that?
So empathy really is just this ability for someone to just think about how someone else might be feeling a particular situation and respond to somebody with care. And that's usually based off of how that person themselves might feel, right? Taking how we feel and putting it and how might somebody else feel.
Okay, so now we know what empathy is. Why is this just so important, obviously for us as adults, but to pass that and teach that characteristic to our children?
So it's really important because I think that, one, it just really helps a child understand themselves as a different person. It recognizes common feelings among people, and ultimately it's really just going to cultivate caring in our community, right? So they're going to have better relationships, I think, not just with themselves and with their families, but with others around them.
Yes, totally. So there are, of course, just how can parents help their toddlers develop empathy then? What are some of the steps, or what are some of the things that you are encouraging parents to do as you work with parents hand in hand?
Yeah, so I think one thing is always to empathize with your child. Try to think in situations, it's easy for us to get maybe upset or sad and try to think sorry, I've got a cat. What would, what is my child feeling in this situation? I think other things is to talk about others' feelings with your children, sometimes using pretend play. So what would the stuffed bear think about this? Those are some ways that we can really start to cultivate the understanding of feelings in others with our children.
Okay, so these are obviously the ideal ways to handle situations by showing empathy. But in the moment when you're with your kids and in a tense situation, what do you really tell parents to break from showing our emotion and really teaching that to the kids?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to remember that empathy is really cultivated from the relationship that we have with our children. The biggest thing is just really establish a secure, loving relationships between your children, with your parents, whether you're the caregivers. That is what's going to be transferred out, and for your child to, one, is feel secure probably in their own emotions in order to then feel secure enough to kind of take that in and kind of recognize other people's emotions. Most of the time we're doing it well. We just have to kind of be able to be there, be a role model in our own emotions and our own self-control, and just give love to our children.
Okay, Abby, that's the last question I wanted to say too. That I think as a parent, lots of times you're wondering, am I even doing this right? Is my child getting it? What do you want to say to that parent that's just sitting there doubting their efforts?
I want to say you are doing great. Parenting is so hard. And like I said, the biggest thing is if you are just showing love and care, you're validating your children and you're being there and you're listening, you're doing it right. You're giving them what they need.
Abby, we really appreciate your time here today. Again, Abby Crouse, the clinical director for the Family Support Centers of Utah, joining us via Zoom here on this Wednesday. Until next time, thanks again, Abby.